Hey, this is Cooking with Garrett, and I'm your host, Garrett. And today, we're making my famous Capitalism jambalaya. I know it sounds a little bit weird, but it's sure gonna knock your socks off, and we're about to get started right now. First, we're gonna start out with our veggies. Grab a knife here. Let's do the onion. I know it seems a little bit weird sticking the word capitalism into a jambalaya, but I'm telling you, once I explain it all, it's all going to make sense. Alright, we're going to get this peeled here. This thick layer around the onion. We're not going to use this whole onion on this one. It's a little too much for this size jambalaya that we're doing. Alright. Once we get all the tears out of our eyes, we're gonna throw all this on a plate. Save this for when we stick it in the pan. Alright, next up, we're gonna get into this green bell pepper. Try and cut the middle out of this thing. So we can remove all the seeds and whatnot. Cut this in half. Good. Spice mix going on, our Capitalism jambalaya spice mix. We're going to start out with a cup of rice. A few extra aren't going to hurt. Get that going. And then we're going to go with, let's see, a tablespoon of minced onion. Alright, that works. So we're going to go with a tablespoon of fresh parsley flakes. A little bit more, there we go. Alright, then a little bit of granulated garlic, about 3 tablespoons. Then let's see, the dried thyme leaves. You're going to want about half a teaspoon of that. There's a little bit of Cajun seasoning. Of course, it is jambalaya. I like mine a little spicy. Throw that in there. Then some cayenne pepper to really kick up the heat if there's not enough in that Cajun seasoning for you. You want to be a little bit light on this, maybe if you can't take the heat. I like the heat, so let's keep going with it. There's that. Pepper. If I had some fresh cracked black, I would. Don't. Alright, some salt. Okay, that's pretty much our mix for our jambalaya. Once we get all that in, once we get our sausage in and our peppers in and stuff, and our water, then we're just going to mix this in. This is going to give all the flavor. Now to kind of explain what I mean by capitalism jambalaya. Okay, basically we've got our sausage. These are the heavy hitters, the CEOs, the big company owners, Donald Trump, if you will, Bill Gates maybe. You know, these are the big guys, because when you eat the jambalaya, this is the one thing you notice, and that's the one thing you notice out of like American capitalism. You notice the big heavy hitters. You don't always see the little people working, but you always, these are the ones you notice the most when you take a bite of the jambalaya, and these might be the ones you notice the most when you're looking at, let's say media talking about business in America. Okay, now the rice and the spices seems a little bit weird, but think of the rice as the workers, because by themselves the rice is kind of bland. Can't really hold its own flavor. So you add spices to the rice. Okay, the spices act as kind of consumerism. Okay, because when we add the spices to the rice, it adds a little bit of flavor to the rice, which it was bland before. So think of the rice as buying the spices, and that's what gives the spices all their flavor. So things they see on TV, stuff like that. So all these different spices get soaked up into the rice. Now, not every piece of rice has the same amount of spice in it. Some might have a little bit more of others. Some might have more thyme. Some might have some more cayenne pepper. Perhaps some has some garlic powder. I don't know. It really just depends. But okay, you've got the rice, you've got the sausage, and you've got your veggies here. Okay, your veggies are the standouts in society that a green bell pepper has its own flavor in its own right. You can eat a green bell pepper and it has flavor. If you eat some rice, it might not have that much flavor, but you add the spices because the rice wants to be like the onion and like the celery and the green bell pepper, because the green bell pepper, the onion, the celery, they all have their own flavor. The rice doesn't really have flavor, so they want to be like these veggies. So that's why you have to add the spices to it, because the spices give the rice all their flavor instead of being bland. So you mix all this up, and you kind of get American capitalism in a way. It'll make more sense once I'm done, but that's pretty much it. So let me get all this going, and we'll see what it looks like. Alright, we're going to go ahead and get this going. Put some canola oil down here, some heart healthy oil. Get that going. Then we're going to bring in our sausage. Everybody in there. Here we go. Now, we're just going to brown this up for a little while. Get all that floating around in there. A little green bell pepper in there. Get a good stir on that. But we are also going to go ahead and add the onions with this and get those going, because they can cook for a little while. In here. There we go. We're going to hold off on the green bell peppers though. We got these ready to go. Got a really good sweat on there. Smells delicious. Alright. Let's go ahead and add the water first. You're going to want to add 3 3/4 cup. I had it measured out beforehand, so I wouldn't have to go back to the sink. Then we're going to add our rice and spice mixture. There we go. And we are going to get this boiling. You're going to want to get this up to a boil, and after we got it up to a boil, then we're going to bring it back down to simmer, let it cook for about 25 minutes, and we'll be ready to eat. So, this is our capitalism jambalaya. I made this thing because, to be honest with you, capitalism's kind of confusing to me. It's not black and white by any means. It's just, I don't know, sometimes I don't know how I feel about it. I know that I live in a capitalistic society, and for the most part I enjoy it. I understand that it has its flaws, and I mean, capitalism, just like the jambalaya, it's not always pretty. I mean, this isn't the most appetizing looking dish. I know I like it because I've had it before, but if you've never had it, it may be a foreign concept to you and you may not want it, just like the jambalaya. I guess capitalism not for everyone, but I live in capitalism, and for the most part, I've enjoyed it, just like I enjoy this jambalaya. Delicious.